Hello dear aspirants, today is 22nd January and we are ready with the must-read articles of 22nd January. I am 𝐞𝐥𝐻, mentor at Prepp IAS, and I am going to help you read the newspaper from both prelims and mains perspective and also effectively. So let's start with the first page, which is advertisement, and not only the front page but it is also of UPSC's interest. Okay, so so it is talking about Bengal's tourism. So they have posted this advertisement where they have talked about West Bengal is home to 16 wildlife sanctuaries and 6 national parks. So you should know what 6 national parks are there in West Bengal, which I have mentioned here. Buxa National Park, Gorumara National Park, 𝙤𝙤 National Park, Neora Valley, Singalila, and Sundarban National Park. Sundarban is a national park, biosphere reserve, tiger reserve, and Ramsar site. All 4 things at once. Okay, I've made a map also. This is West Bengal, this is Bangladesh, and 5 out of 6 national parks is in the northern Bangladesh, which is northern West Bengal, which is in the borders of Sikkim and Assam. So you can see Singalila is in the border of Sikkim. Neora is also around the border of Sikkim. Then there's the Gorumara, then 𝙤𝙤, and the eastmost is Buxa, which is closer to Assam border. And in the down you can see Sundarban, tiger reserve, biosphere reserve, etc. Right? So it is also talking about other thing, which is Kolkata's Durga Puja, which is recognized as a UNESCO intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Right now Kumbh Mela is also being held, which also comes under UNESCO intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Go and search what all intangible heritage of India comes under this list. Okay, and West Bengal is home to 3 UNESCO heritage treasures. Sundarbans we have already talked about. Other is Shantiniketan and Darjeeling Himalayan Railway. So we can learn from advertisement also. Let's move to the next page, front page. So front page, and most of the newspaper is filled with Trump's policies, in which he's leaving most of the multilateral organization and is taking one of the very extreme measures. Like one you can see in the front pages, Trump declares end to US citizenship by birth. So no one who will be born there will automatically be citizens of USA now onwards. Okay, so this topic will come under the syllabus of GS paper 2, effect of policies and politics of developed countries on India's interest. So what has happened? US President Trump signed an executive order cancelling the provision of citizenship by birth, which can affect thousands of Indian professionals working in US under H1B visa or other temporary visas. So these are the issue, and he has also said that he will levy 100% taxes on BRICS countries for attempting to move to non-dollar transactions. Okay, so these are the issues, and he's also planning to crack down on undocumented and illegal migrants, which could hit about 7.25 lakh Indians. So India will be very much affected with this policy of with this new policy of Donald Trump. Let's move to the next article. Okay, so next, this article, 𝐸MA Committee report, Supreme Court lauds those who gave statements before sit. Okay, so I have taken this article under GS paper 1, role of women and women's organization. Supreme Court is appreciating women's courage to come forward and talk about the abuse that they have experienced in the Malayalam film industry. So Supreme Court acknowledged the courage of women who had defied personal and professional costs, because coming out and telling about the sexual abuses is very detrimental to their mental health and social image also, right? So it's very difficult for women to come out. So that's why Supreme Court is appreciating to lodge complaints of sexual abuse in the Malayalam film industry. Okay, so this 3-judge bench is appreciating a lot of women who have opened up before the 𝐸MA committee. So 𝐸MA committee is made for the for searches and investigation that is happening in the Malayalam film industry about the sexual abuse. Facing all odds, these women came forward and filed around 25 FIRs. So you can use it as an example in paper 1 or even in essay. Let's move to the next article. So we will directly come to the editorial page. Time to seize the time to seize the promise of the US-India nuclear deal. So I'll tell you in short story, not the so only 2-3 lines are important from this article. So India had done this, Pokhran event in 1998, and India, all the Western countries had posed sanction against India. So this civil nuclear deal between India and US in 2008 was hailed as a India's entry into the nuclear power and nuclear energy. Okay, so this civil nuclear deal of 2008, he is talking about, in which one of the NGOs or a private group, Coalition for Partnership with India, was able to enable and bring this policy. But what happened, the energy and commercial promises of a US-India deal was never fulfilled because of several reasons. Okay, one of the reasons are, in 2010, India enacted the Civil Liability for Nuclear Damage Act. Under this act, India, had put this major liability obligations not on the operators but on the suppliers. Here the suppliers were US suppliers company, which is the GE and Westinghouse. So they did not want to come to India because of lot of liability that this act was putting on them, right? So in this condition of this act, only Russians accepted this risk amelioration because all the companies in Russia are government owned. So it will have a defense of sovereign immunity. So that's why Russia could work, but US couldn't, because private companies were more skeptical of the blames and and how much responsibility they'll have to carry. So that's why civil nuclear technology could not work. But the writer is saying they should try to work upon it by US companies should try to give us at a reasonable price that will not increase electricity cost to the Indian consumer, and it shouldn't have a disastrous cost overruns. Okay, so both Trump and Indian government should try to work on regulatory issues involving liability, technology, and cost as well. That much is enough for this article. Let's move to one more article was left from this page. Tale of two translators taking Tamil literature to the world. So there are two translators who are very much influenced and inspired by Tamil literature. Okay, so the name of these translators are not so important, but whom they are influenced by, that is important. So this person, Purishma, credits 𝐿𝐼𝐻𝑖𝐻 for bringing his desire to a writing back. So 𝐿𝐼𝐻𝑖's poems has returned his love for words, language, stories. He says, who is 𝐿𝐼𝐻 firstly? 𝐿𝐼𝐻 it's a generic term. It's not name of one person. It is generic term for respectable good woman. Okay, so there were 2-3 women who were writing great poems during the time of Sangam age. Okay, so they were Tamil poet of Sangam age women. She wrote 59 poems in Puranu Nuru, which is a classic Tamil poetic work. Okay, and they were contemporaries of Paranar, Kabilar, and Thiruvalluvar. So this translator has also translated Thirukural, which is a very famous book on ethics, politics, economy, and love, written by Thiruvalluvar. Okay, so these people belong to Sangam age. So you should know about this 𝐿𝐼𝐻, who was 𝐿𝐼𝐻 and what poems are famous. Thirukural, Thiruvalluvar, you should know these names. This is other French translator who is also trying to translate Perumal Murugan's Madhoro Bagan in French. But this is a recent novel of 2010. These are novels 2000 years old. This 𝐿𝐼𝐻 and Thirukural, but this is just 2010 novel of Perumal Murugan. That's it for this article. Let's move to we have covered this article. Let's talk about the small article, the price of success. They are talking about Kerala's rising maternal mortality ratio. So what is maternal mortality ratio? Number of, it is talking about number of deaths happening upon total number of live births. Okay, so when the total number of live births is reducing, that is denominator is reducing, so the ratio of maternal mortality rate is not reducing with that number. So Kerala had worked the best in this area. The number of births came down, thereby skewing the best maternal mortality rate. In Kerala, the state led the demographic transition by achieving the total replacement level fertility rate in 1987-88. Okay, so what is total replacement level fertility? You should know. Okay, and this TFR of 2.1 is considered the replacement level. This year question was asked about total fertility rate. Okay, in 2024 UPSC prelims paper. So you should know what is maternal mortality rate, what is total fertility rate. You should know the basic concepts of it. Okay, so southern states feel that because their sub-replacement level fertility rates, they are at disadvantage, because now the delimitation exercise will happen again in the Lok Sabha, and because of less population, less number of seats will be given to these states. Okay, so they are thinking that this topic is talking about population. This comes under GS paper 1, population and associated issues. They are mentioning a lot of geographers, human geography scientists. Malthus was talked about that moving from stable population to a rapid population growth, leveling out, and finally a decline. So this will happen in any demographic transition. There will be historical shift from high birth and high death rate to low birth and low death rate with education, advancement, and things like that, right? So several countries like South Korea are also struggling to revive population. So once this comes, this happens with the progress of the nations. So even when countries like Japan and South Korea are trying to promote the fertility and birth of people, it's not happening. Things will not get reversed. So no state should take credit of it, because it will happen with the education and advancement. So this is what it is saying, that South Korea and other countries are struggling and they're incentivizing childbearing. So okay, let's move to the last article of the editorial page. Now this article talks about, again, Trump's measures that he is taking. So this comes under topic of GS paper 2, effect of policies and politics of developed countries affecting India's interest. So what America is doing, America has always had a philosophy of American exceptionalism. That means policy of exceptionalism. That means it is different from others. So what rules are, for everyone, it will not follow that. It will have some, it will be sidelined, the same norms and institutions of international law. That is again happening. Trump has a philosophy of America first, that is also called sovereigntist view of international law. Like they think what international law should serve America's interest. That is how they think, right? So Trump administration is recently walking away from all the WTO, not WTO recently, that he's walking away from WHO. So he's talking about past. Trump administration 2017 walked away from Paris Agreement on climate change. He also reneged on the key nuclear treaty with Russia and Iran. Okay, he also blocked appointment into the WTO's dispute settlement bodies, appellate body. So WTO's dispute settlement body has become dysfunctional since Trump's move. US withdrew from Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, which Obama administration carefully crafted, okay? And he also put an end to North American Free Trade Agreement, and US withdrew from several international institutions like UNESCO, and now they are attempting to withdraw from WHO and threatened withdrawal from WTO, right? So his fresh plans to pursue unilateralism by raising tariffs, even if it triggers a trade war and violates WTO rules. He's already giving threats, or announcing that he may impose 25% tariffs on imports from Mexico and Canada, right? So I have taken this article, so you should know what is the attitude of a developed country like USA. Okay, so let's move to the next article. This is a small, sweet article, nothing much. I mean, only from governance point of view or GS3 cropping pattern point of view, you can take this article. GS paper 3, major crop cropping pattern. A sweet win for turmeric farmers. National Turmeric Board has been inaugurated by our Union Minister of Commerce, 𝐷𝐿𝐻 Goyal. National Turmeric Board headquartered in Nizamabad, and board will boost exports of about 30 varieties of turmeric. The board has been entrusted with the task of promoting research and development of new products, exploring the scope for value addition to turmeric related markets, and also plans to leverage the medicinal value of turmeric extensively. So turmeric farmers who have seen highs and lows wanted this board from a long time, like on the lines of Spice Board, Tobacco Board, and Silk Board. So now since they have a turmeric board dedicated for their issue, they think they'll have better pricing, better value to the crop, and improved remuneration of the crop. That much for this article. Let's move to the next article. So these two data are important. India's national sex ratio at birth has increased to 9:30 right now, which was very less around 10 years, 8 years back. So they are commemorating that 10th anniversary of the Beti Bachao Beti Padhao initiative, which will be celebrated on March 8, International Women's Day. You should know about the national sex ratio, about the Beti Bachao Beti Padhao scheme. Other data they have mentioned is India's 2030 target for renewable energy production is 500 gigawatt. They want to increase the production of renewable energy in the country by 2030 and meet 50% of energy should be met by renewable energy. That's the target by 2030, which is only 5 years ahead. Okay, so next article, what do draft data protection rules state? Okay, so what is happening here? Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has brought the draft rules, which is not finalized yet, which is currently soliciting feedback, but discussions are happening around it. So this draft rule talked about data localization. So what is data localization? It mandates that extends data localization mandate that extends beyond the original scope of the legislation. It refers to measures that restrict the flow of data within jurisdiction borders. For example, India's data should not cross India's border. It should be localized and should be kept within the India. So DPDP Act permits the government to limit personal data transfers only to specified notified countries. Okay, so government appointed committee will define which classes of data cannot be exported from India, right? So this companies like Meta, Google and Apple and Microsoft are expected to fall within these classification. There is one Reserve Bank of India mandate which you should know. In 2018, Reserve Bank of India had brought a similar mandate requiring payment data operators to localize their data within the country. So currently, financial payment and insurance data must be stored domestically. Okay, only copies of payment data allowed overseas solely to facilitate international transaction. So you should know this is the current status in financial data status. Okay, so there are several issues. Section 36 of DPDP Act, when read with Rule 22, it will empower the union government to demand any information for the interest of India's sovereignty, integrity and national security, and they fear that it can affect freedom of speech and expression of a lot of people, because these kind of discretionary power are susceptible to misuse. So that's what this article is saying, that government should adopt safeguards like Information Technology Act 2000 to ensure that citizens are not left unaware of the nature of the act that they're trying to bring or the rules they're trying to bring. Let's move to the next article. So smart city was brought in 2015. This article is talking about the challenges and limitation of it. We'll only take 2-3 points from it. Okay. So what is the status of the smart cities mission? It comes under GS paper 2, government policy and intervention for development in several areas. So smart cities was announced in 2015 by announcing 100 smart cities. Okay. So it included Internet of Things. So the article is saying that kind of framework works well where there is advanced capitalist countries where basic utilities are already in place, whereas in India basic services were also not met in urban places. So means providing fundamental amenities to residents were more important. So according to him, the smart city was not the right thing for India, and it had smart city has two proposals: IT enabled services and area based development, which included retrofitting, redevelopment and greenfield projects. Okay, so they, according to the editor, they bypassed local government, relying on special purpose vehicles, which was registered special purpose vehicles (SPVs), which were registered under the Companies Act. So city councils was also excluded, and it was working more like private company. So he has taken the example of Shimla, where it has not brought the desired developments that the scheme wanted. So projects devoid of meaningful urban governance and public involvement are bound to fail. That's what it is saying. So we'll just use that as a challenge, that basic facilities were required to be met, and this kind of issues happened where urban governance were not able to play important role in smart cities. That is one of the issues. Let's move to the next article. So this is more important from knowledge point of view, prelims point of view. What are antivenoms? Why are antivenoms not easily accessible in India? Okay, so what is antivenoms? Antivenoms are life-saving medicines used to treat snake bites. Okay, they are produced by injecting small amounts of venom into animals. Then those animals produce antibodies as part of their immune response. So snake venom is one of the nature's most lethal weapons. They have a complete cocktail of toxic proteins which have evolved throughout the nature for digest, prey and defend against threats, hemotoxin, neurotoxin, cytotoxin and things like that. Okay, so there are disease antivenoms, polyvalent antivenoms currently are used in India to target multiple species. Okay, so we should know about India's case. India is home to more than 300 species of snakes, of which more than 60 are venomous. Listen to the name of snakes they are mentioning: Indian cobra, common krait. So if there is a word krait, you should know it comes with the name of snakes. Okay, Russell's viper, saw-scaled viper, king cobra, monocold cobra, banded krait, Shoruk's saw-scaled viper, hump-nosed, and several species of pit vipers. Okay. So what is the issue with antivenom? High cost of manufacturing. That is the reason economically disadvantaged people are not able to access it, and they are the ones who face the snake bites the most. Okay, so India is the world's largest producer and consumers of antivenoms in the world, but the issue is access to timely medical care, and because inadequate facilities, logistical issues, unequal access to care, superstitious belief and cultural practices. Okay, so India's rural parts generally face it, and they do not have infrastructure and power supply which is required. Let's move to the quiz section. Today's quiz section is important from modern India of freedom struggle point of view. January 21 marks the 80th death anniversary of Rajbihari Bose, one of the founding leaders of Indian National Army. So Rajbihari Bose was one of the revolutionary who also played a very important role in trying to assassinate 𝘿𝙤𝙪. Okay, but it was unsuccessful and they had to flee from India. So Rajbihari Bose was very instrumental in Ghada's mutinies, he also founded Indian Independence League. Search about Rajbihari Bose and read about it in our Indian Spectrum of Bipin Chandra. The first question is: an officer of INA and a doctor and one of the founding members of All India Democratic Women's Association, she was also a candidate in the presidential election held in 2022. Who was she? She was Lakshmi Sehgal. Okay, so Lakshmi Sehgal was officer of INA, she was a doctor and a founding member of All India Democratic Women's Association. Okay, and she was married to Colonel, who was among 3 INA officers who sought to be court-martialed by the British. So 3 INA officers were court-martialed by British. Who were those 3 army officers? Prem Kumar Sehgal, Shah Nawaz Khan and 𝐿𝐵𝐻. So Lakshmi Sehgal, who was the officer of INA and doctor and founding member of AIDWA, was married to Colonel Prem Kumar Sehgal. Okay, and name the person who donned the lawyer's robe to represent the 3 INA officers in the Red Fort trial. He was 𝘿𝙤𝙪 Desai. Okay, who presented these 3 for saving them from Britain's court martial. Okay, let's move to the next page. So it talks about competent to judge Indus Water Treaty dispute, says World Bank neutral expert. So what is issue in the Indus Water Treaty 1960 between India and Pakistan? So when India is taking different layer of judgment, Pakistan goes to another layer. That is what is happening. The dispute resolution mechanism, India interprets its first attempt should be resolved by permanent Indus Commission. Okay, first if the countries are facing any issue, they should go to permanent Indus Commission under Indus Water Treaty. If it is not resolved there, then they should go to World Bank appointed neutral expert. If their issues are not even solved there, then it should be decided by Court of Arbitration of the Hague. But Pakistan generally bypasses it and it doesn't go along with India. So that is the issue they are facing, and that's why World Bank neutral expert has come. Let's move to the next article. So again, the entire newspaper is about Trump leaving different multilateral organizations. This is WHO chief urges USA to reconsider its decision to exit. President Donald Trump has announced that the US would exit the WHO. Okay, and he's saying that the global health agency's mishandling of the COVID-19 pandemic and other international health crises are the reasons for the exit. But the WHO chief is saying that they have always worked. USA is the founding member of WHO in 1948. They have worked along 193 countries. They have brought end to smallpox. They have eradicated polio. So he's trying to keep US in the loop. So next article, CAG report highlights staff shortage in Kerala hospitals. Okay, so this comes under GS paper 2 health sector. CAG's performance of Kerala's health sector observed a serious shortage of staff, doctors, nurses, pharmacists, and lab technicians. If question comes about health sector in GS paper 2, you can mention this report of CAG. Okay, it not just affects the accessibility of public to quality healthcare, but is also pressure on the available resources. Let's move to the next article. So since we were already talking about nuclear deals, India, France discusses civil nuclear issues ahead of PM's visit to Paris. So they want to boost cooperation in high-end technology sector, especially civil nuclear cooperation. PM Modi is going to travel to Paris for a summit for action on artificial intelligence. PM Modi is going there, okay. So India and France had signed a civil nuclear agreement in 2008. And the first MOU for 990 megawatt Jaitapur plant in 2009. It has also not been materialized till now. Okay, so there's a lot of high project cost, time overruns, continuing logjam, and they're also blaming the same India Civil Liability Law, Clear Damage Act 2010. So now they're further trying to cooperate on small modular reactor in the future. Okay, so you can remember this India Civil Liability Law, Clear Damage Act 2010. Let's move to the next article. You can see this NGO article. Government wants NGO of action over funds without FCRA. So Union Home Ministry had warned NGOs of penal action if they receive foreign funds without registration under the Foreigner Contribution Regulation Act 2010. So NGOs are specially mentioned in GS paper 2. Anything comes up, any question comes in GS paper 2 about NGOs, you can use this Union Home Ministry's warning or a demand kept for FCRA registration, which is mandatory to receive foreign donation, and if for the purpose they have taken the donation, they should use it in there only and not in other purposes. That is what they're saying, if the purpose for which it has been registered or granted prior permission under the act. Okay, so let's move to the next article. The last article of the day, Trump effectively pulls US out of global corporate tax deal. Last article for Trump leaving another corporate tax deal. So President Donald Trump declared that a global corporate minimum tax deal has no force on effect in the US, effectively pulling America out of landmark 2021 arrangement negotiated by Biden administration. That is his predecessor Joe Biden. With nearly 140 countries, the European Union, Britain, and other countries had adopted the 15% global corporate minimum tax, but the US Congress has roughly 10% global minimum tax. Okay, so part of Mr. Trump's landmark 2017 tax cut package approved by Republicans. So these were being done under OECD negotiations. Okay, so new arrangement to share taxing rights on profitable multinational companies should give what they are earning from the countries, right? So that is what they were trying to do. So the effort was aimed at replacing unilateral digital services tax that target largely American technology firms like Meta, platforms, Facebook to Apple. So Donald Trump is trying to save the American companies so that they can get the benefit of the most of the taxes. That's it for today. Thank you.